close the valve at the bottom. Okay.
I think it's full.
Yeah, I think it is.
All right, getting this truck set up to tow the car trailer, doing some work on the suspension. We've got new shocks in the rear, new shocks in the front, and we are going to tackle the transmission fluid change next. I have not done a transmission fluid change on this truck since I've owned it. So the guy who sold it to me had just put a used transmission in it, and had at least claimed that he changed out the fluid at that point. So, and I've not even put 10,000 miles on this truck, so it should be all right. We'll get into it and see what the condition of the fluid looks like when we get it apart. We've got a new drain basket here. We've got all the transmission fluid. We need a long neck funnel to fill it. We've got the new gaskets. We're not going to do the differential today, but we are going to do the differential. Make sure we've got the Gorilla Glue. Use that to fix the gasket to the pan, so when we put it back up, we can actually do that without, well, it's going to be trouble, but it won't be too much trouble. So anyway, let's get into it. See if you can check it out there. There's the fluid that's coming out, and it looks pretty good. It doesn't smell burnt or anything, and it looks nice and red colored. So I'm really happy with that. So it tells me that the guy that sold it to me, really, they might be giants twice. I love it. I actually did replace the transmission fluid in this when the transmission was put in. So we're doing good here. There's the old one, there's the new one. That's dirty. Take a look inside the pan here. Yeah, there's definitely quite a bit of metal shaving. Look at that. That silvery stuff there, that's why the magnet's there, is to catch all that band wear. So we got to clean up the, get this gasket off, get this edge cleaned up. We got to clean out this pan, clean off that magnet, and go from there. All right, cleaning up the edge of the pan and getting the old gasket off definitely took the longest of any of the operations on this procedure. So you got to take your time, get all this stuff off, get that surface nice and clean, and the new gasket on it so it doesn't leak. And you see we're using a plastic scraper here to get this old gasket stuff off the edge. You want to use something that's not going to gouge the surface. So a plastic scraper works great here, just takes a while. Installing the filter is pretty simple. These are very, very, very lightly torqued. So I don't even use a torque wrench. I don't know that I've got one that goes down that low. Just more than hand tight. Scraping the pan mating surface there is much easier than the pan. Most of the gasket was on the pan side. And so here we've got the gasket going on, using that Gorilla Glue just to dab in the corners to hold it in place so it doesn't slide around on us while we're mating it up to the transmission. We've got all of the bolts in place, getting the trusty torque wrench out. Squirrel! Didn't catch the squirrel, so back to torquing the bolts. And we get a little smarter here and start marking the ones that we have already torqued. Alright, procedure says to add 4 quarts of automatic transmission fluid and then warm it up. So we wait for the truck to get warm. And once we're warmed up, check the dipstick and bring the fluid level just up to the bottom of the normal range. We don't want to bring it into the normal range or up to the max line yet. We have to get the transmission up to operating temperature, which means we have to drive it. All right, we got the truck backed out of the garage and we're gonna take it for a quick drive to get it up to temp so we can get the transmission fluid properly topped off. We are showing it on the dipstick now. It is just below the normal mark, which is good. We gotta get this thing hot so we don't overfill it. First drive with working shocks. Nice and smooth shift there. Oh my goodness. This thing rides like a new truck. Wow. Oh, it feels great. Oh, it feels absolutely wonderful. Big improvement going on here. All right. I'm gonna turn this around this way just in case we see a Corvair coming at us. So this is why you don't fill it all the way up, because it's perfect, absolutely perfect. So that was below the max level. That was below the max level when it wasn't high. So we got it hot and it's perfect at the max, perfectly at the max level. Hey, that's going to do it for the Big Red Rad Truck episodes of TR3 Wrench Time. Hope you enjoyed seeing the dump truck in action and some of the stuff that we did to it to make it safer to use as a tow vehicle. As you can see, the Triumph body is back from the painters. It's been bead blasted. It has been primered, as have all of the other body panels. The next couple of TR3 Wrench Time episodes, we're going to show you all that and show you the plan for moving forward and getting this thing finished back together so we can start working on the chassis and putting it back together and hopefully driving this car early summer, springtime, late spring, early summer of 2021. That is the plan. As you can see, the transmission is out too. We are going to dig into that transmission and see if we can solve the mystery of why this car stopped being used 40 years ago, more than 40 years ago. So in the very first episode of TR3 Wrench Time, my dad told the story of his drive to work that resulted in not being able to transfer power from the engine to the wheels progressively. So first went out, second went out, and he never took it out of third gear because he needed to get to work. And drove it home in third gear and put it on jack stands, and we picked it up 43 years later. So we are going to tear into that transmission and see if we can find out if that is the culprit, or maybe it was the clutch, and the clutch is kind of gone now at this point. So So if we find this one is in really bad shape, we can rebuild it, or actually Alistair has an extra TR3 transmission that has been rebuilt that he's not going to use, so we may just buy that one off of him and go in there. That is not the original transmission for the car, this car itself, so I'm not concerned about keeping the original transmission. That's actually a TR4 transmission. I hope you enjoyed the Big Red Rad Truck episodes. Like and subscribe. We'll see you next time on TR3 Wrench Time.